Okay, on my electric bill it says the city is complying with the Americans with Disabilities Act. No, they're not. This is a bold-faced lie on behalf of Boston Energy.
It's like a sauna in here. No más pantalones.
Right.
That is missing all the way from Mopac over to the domain.
Almost to the domain drive.
Okay, so that is going to be, hold on, I'll measure it for you. And just to let you know, on our prioritization, that one right now only ranks, let me look at it. On that side, it only ranks as a medium because it's not connecting as much stuff. The one on the south side actually ranks as a high priority based on, and like I say, there's a whole lot of factors that go into that, but one of them is how much stuff it's connecting up. So hold on, let me measure that out for you. So that missing chunk is almost 800 feet of sidewalk.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I mean, from the railroad tracks to that existing sidewalk, unless something's been built there that I'm not aware of, from the railroad over to the existing one at Mopac is 760 feet. It's a long way, a lot of the sidewalk. And that one, I just want to give you realistic expectations, is unlikely to be built by the city in the next few years. We are working through a prioritization program where we try and tackle the very high priority sidewalks first. Then as we get those done, we come in and we keep working at it. But realistically, that section is not going to happen soon. That's not to say a lot of the ways new sidewalks get built is just like that section in front of the domain. New development, when it comes in, is required to build sidewalks in front of their property if they don't exist.
Right, and Arbor Walk and the domain did not comply with the law.
Yeah, there's a long story about that one. I wasn't involved, but
well, I know the domain has been on the news for not making their property ADA accessible and trying to skirt it, but no one's talking about the Arbor Walk, in which they are equally at fault as a domain. And I don't know how the Arbor Walk came about with that configuration.
Yeah, and that's a whole nother discussion. What I can help you with is sidewalks in the right-of-way that the city of Austin will build. And so in terms of that section, I'm missing chunk, and agree with you, it would be nice to get that done between Mopac and the railroad tracks on the north side. It's a medium priority. I mean, it's not really low. I mean, the really low priority ones are the ones that are, way off in residential neighborhoods that don't really connect to much at all. Those tend to be the very low priority ones. In these commercial areas, they get to be higher priority. So that's something that, if we continue to get additional bond funding in the future, and there's discussion there'll be additional sidewalk funds as part of a 2012 bond, hopefully, then we'll start to try and tackle those. So getting to that one on the north side, you said, so where exactly is that short missing chunk you were talking about, on the south side, on the Home Depot side there by Breaker?
It starts by the railroad tracks.
Okay, so and it's from the railroad tracks over to Home Depot?
No, it's from the domain. Okay. Let's just start and say it's from the bus stop by the Domain Drive and Breaker, right by Pickle Research.
Okay, so it's from Domain Drive over
to the railroad tracks.
To the railroad tracks. Okay, yeah, that's not 50 feet. That's a lot longer than that. I mean, 50 feet is that's 2 cars. This would be something in the nature of even longer than the last section. From Domain Drive to the railroad tracks is 1,300 feet. What I can tell you, though, is that shows up as a high priority sidewalk on our sidewalk master plan, and once I get off the phone, I'll send you the link to that. So
Yeah,
there
it should
is
be a high
reasonable-
priority. I agree
Yeah.
that the other side is a medium priority, but this one's definitely high priority.
Yeah, and so the good news, we don't have, I looked up on our, there is one more priority level ahead of that that's very high, but, so I looked up to see if we had funding for that section. We don't right now, but to the extent that we do get additional funding or that we do get contracts that, where there's additional funds available, we start to look at those high priority areas. So there's a, I can't make any promises. It all depends on, those funding streams. But my expectation is if those continue to happen at the same level within the next 5 years or so, we would be hopeful to be getting those kind of sidewalks in there. And or if there's additional development along that frontage, then it's going to build those sidewalks. So, I mean...
So what do you mean by additional funding? If someone, like, opens a shop in that particular...
No, they'd have to, in order to be required to build sidewalks along the frontage, it would have to be something that requires a new site development permit. So if they're building a brand new building, then they've got to go through the site development review process, and then they start looking at things like those sidewalks. If it's merely, one shop changes, on a parcel that's internal to the project, that's not going to trigger the need for a site development process. It's more that new development's happening. Something like the domain gets built, they're supposed to be building a sidewalk.
Right. And I'm wondering why. Has code compliance actually gone out there and cited the domain for...
I don't know. That's, I don't want to,
Well, I mean, I understand it's
something
probably
you
not your
ask.
department. It's, I got to talk to the code compliance people on this. Because they're the
and
ones that
you,
issue that.
That's exactly right. You'd have to, you can, through 311, you can work through the contact code compliance, and they follow up on that. I can't help you with that because I don't have the means to follow through on that. What I do have the means to...
Right, you're a different department. I totally understand.
Yeah, I'm the guy who works with the crews that build the sidewalks or, deals with the contracts that build sidewalks. So on these we can find those little short chunks like that little one you identified over on Murado Circle. We can try and get those built. And even the longer ones, what we do is we keep a list of all of the requests that we get so that as we do get additional funds, we say, okay, this is a high priority, and even among the high priority ones, which ones are we getting, a lot of calls on. That helps us, identify where we should be spending those funds.
Okay. And then back to the funding issue. I noticed that y'all repaved Jollyville Road between Great Hills Trail and Breaker Lane and a little past Breaker Lane about a couple of months ago. It was repaved like back in 2009. And I'm wanting to know why. I'm assuming this would be your department. But I'm wanting to know why y'all went ahead and repaved it in 2 years and it was perfectly fine to begin with.
It's my department, but it's not me. I'm sidewalk guy. That would be street and bridge overlay. I have no idea why they chose to do that section. I mean, they typically have a pretty good reason for doing that. There may have been...
Probably just to make it look pretty, because, I mean, I haven't seen... There wasn't even, like, those little sealants y'all put in to determine the cracks on the road?
I don't know. It may have been there was some utility cuts. There may have... there may have been some reason. It may have been that they needed to... they were adjusting lane widths. That there was... sometimes it is something as simple as the pavement markings were done in a way that's not in compliance with MUTCD, which is the standards on how you mark lanes and mark traffic control. And sometimes they have to, it's actually more cost effective to sort of reseal it and then redo the markings if there's a safety issue that's been identified. There's lots of different reasons they might do it. I'm not sure why it would have been that case. Sometimes it's maintenance issues, other times it's safety issues. So, you would have to talk to, request to talk to the overlay crews.
Okay.
Or the overlay portion of Street Bridge, and they can give them the exact area, and they can try and dig up and tell you why that happened, why they did that.